You're on.
What's up, everybody? Excuse me. What's up, everybody? Looks like we're live on DawgNation.com. It's another Wednesday night. I am Jeff Sintel with Dog Nation. We cover all things Georgia recruiting and Georgia football for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution's DawgNation.com website. How's everybody doing? Everybody having a good night tonight? Good to be back with you guys. Last week I was on assignment. So it's always good to be back. I had something going on last week. If you guys, maybe you guys know what was going on. Last week you guys had a chance to read the Lawson Lucky story that showed up on DawgNation.com yesterday. That was something I was spending some time on. I was actually hanging with Lawson Lucky and his family last Wednesday. And we quickly put that story together. Pretty big week for us at Dog Nation last week. We had the Corky Kell Classic. Brandon Adams and I got to work together for the Corky Kell on Saturday from the Mercedes-Benz. We got to call the Brookwood Norcross game. It was a thrilling game. Great time, great fun. Hope you guys got to catch the broadcast. Yeah, Richard Johnson, I see your comment there. It makes me smile, man. It is almost time. Yep, we're getting that close. We're getting just that close to teeing it up and watching the Dogs go at it and defend a whole new team's territory for not the class of 2023, but the 2022 season. First of all, let's talk about a few things. Let's, as you guys see the headline of the show, the big Anthony Evans decision on Friday sets up what is going to be a crucial week for Georgia, a crucial stretch of a month for Georgia's recruiting class, specifically the Georgia wide receiver recruiting class. Anthony Evans, the talented Texas wide receiver out of Judson High School in Converse, Texas. Army kid, parents are retired military, just outside San Antonio. He will make his decision around 4 p.m. Central Time before his first high school game. Really, Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas A&M there. He told me he might take a visit to Penn State after he makes his decision on Friday, but that will be up in the air. But huge decision. That's a 4-star wide receiver with electric speed. Would pair very well with Yazid Haynes. Oklahoma really was in a great spot with Oklahoma was in a really great spot with Anthony Evans, but they had this situation we wrote about last week on DawgNation.com where their inside receivers coach, Cale Gundy, longtime assistant for Oklahoma for like 23 years. There was that unfortunate situation where he had to resign, and he resigned from his post at Oklahoma, which was really his primary recruiter. And I think that opens the door for the Dogs and everybody else a little bit there. Of course, Anthony's family is a bunch of Dogs. They're from the Savannah area. Dad was kind of a Texas fan. Mom was all Dog. Grandma and a lot of his other extended family were all Dogs as well. So that will be a very interesting story to watch. What else is going on in Georgia football recruiting? Well, you got to see a lot of the Dogs participate in their season openers on last Friday night. Man, CJ Allen looked good. I hope you guys saw that story on DawgNation.com. Now up to 6'1". 226. That's about 10 pounds more than he was last year. He rumbles for 233 yards and 4 touchdowns, including a 79-yard touchdown run in the season opener against a really good Wilcox County team, a team that went 10-4 and made the state semifinals a year ago. Lots of great starts. I mean, Yazid Haynes had a great start. Lots of Georgia's commitments in the 2023 class had a great start. You've heard the news about Gabe Harris moving to IMG Academy. So there's a lot going on. But what I want to do right here, right off the top, is obviously this show is brought to you by Kroger. Before the Hedges has kind of been a Wednesday institution for Dog Nation. And one of the things we do on this show for a long time is we stress interaction, we stress engagement. So I'm going to tell you what, right now, I'm going to carve out Gary and Christian Gilsano. I hope I got that right. I've got a little glare in my eyes right here, but Gulisano, maybe that's heavy Italian there, but yeah, Mr. Houston is a beast. He's going to take a while with his decision now. He's going to got a lot of stuff to see, got a lot of places to go, kind of like KJ Bolden there at Buford as well. But terrific player, great kid on and off the field, great worker as well. And then Buford has King Joseph Edwards on the other side as well for a very loaded defense and a very loaded football program. So one of the things I want to do right now is we're going to go heavy on the engagement side. And engagement means interaction. So I'm going to tell you what, you guys got a question? I'm going to watch the restream feed to my right here of my heads up display right now. You guys got a question? I'm going to move through them as much as possible. And what I'm going to do, if you guys see a question you like, spam that and ask that question again. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to take 10 right now, and I'm going to try and see if I can get 10 questions answered pretty quickly. 10 questions answered. You got a question about anything? You got a question about the student loan forgiveness? You got a question about the Lost and Lucky story? You got a question about CJ Allen or whatever? We'll do that. Bryce Dixon, look at you getting in there. The players to watch on the Oregon defense, there's really two. Those are the inside linebackers. Noah Sewell, raise your hand and say, like, I remember Noah Sewell, Jeff, from the 2021 recruiting class. 2020 recruiting class, the 5-star linebacker, the guy that was like 6'2", 270, that ran a 4.6 with like a 4.15 in the pro agility drill. Something's funny. I got a funny message right there, but Justin Flo was a 5-star linebacker. Noah Sewell was a 5-star inside linebacker. Those two guys are right there. Mike Mazzell, Karis Jackson's a great question. I was having a discussion with somebody earlier this week, somebody that knows a heck of a lot about Georgia football. And they felt, because we were trying to kind of handicap who Georgia's best receivers are. And my thoughts were based on everything I've heard, everything I've seen, everything that they can be, everything that they have been so far. I kind of went A.D. Mitchell and then Ladd, and then Dominic Blaylock and Karis. But my opinion was swayed a little bit because, number one, Karis Jackson has been in the Georgia program since 2018. He's definitely reliable. He's definitely a leader. He has a respect of the locker room. But all things being equal, this person I was talking to was telling me, you know what? If Karis is full go, healthy, he's probably the best receiver Georgia has for a lot of reasons. The blocking, the experience, maturity, knowing what to do, knowing how to play in the SEC. So that's why Dominic and Karis are so important, because if you can add those two guys to what Georgia has with Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint, and then what Georgia's going to do with all the tight ends, it's a really formidable passing game right there. Let me see. I saw another question. Trying to get through a bunch. Peaches question. We can bring Peaches out. We definitely can bring Peaches out. Sometimes my family members, when they're not doing their homework, they're monitoring my show. And sometimes they can bring him. They can bring our Peaches, our Lady Peaches, the first lady of Wednesday night before the hedges, can bring them out. Marshall Flemings wanted to know. Well, that's why Dan Lanning got hired, to fix that defense. Steve Bryant wants to know, how big is Keely Ringo? Keely's about 6'1" and about 210 pounds. Dog fan Life B, I'm going to be at the Benz. I'm going to be covering that game for us as well. Antoine Middleton makes a great point here. Antoine, I thought that really Kamari Lassiter and then Shmael Munden, I thought the two of them today were great. And I thought that obviously Tate Ratledge and then A.D. Mitchell the day before, yesterday, were also great. And really, it's almost like a changing of the guard. I hope you guys are following along, because these are new faces for the Georgia football program, and they're new leaders, new team leaders, new difference makers. And those are the guys that are trotting out. Justin Schaefer, Jamari Salyer, Lewis Seen, John Fitzpatrick, guys like that. They're already in the league. Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Jordan Davis, those guys are all in the league now. And it's a whole new rotation of dogs and some really good, great football players, great young men that now get their turn in front of the camera as the faces of the Georgia football program. Marshall Colbert has a question. How many receivers is Georgia getting? I think the number is 4. Could be 5 if it is the right 5. Steve Rana wants to know, is there any info on how Christian Miller's looked in practice? Christian Miller's had his spots. He actually got rid of his black jersey early on in the fall camp. Christian's just working. I think Christian's going to be just fine. I think Christian will be a guy that will help the Dogs sooner rather than later. Tom Lavelle, yeah, I think he answered your question. Tom, I'll be honest. I haven't considered 7 Cloud a commitment in this Georgia class for a long time. I won't say how long, but it has been a long time. Randy Hall, I have the highest of expectations and appreciation for what Darius Smith can do. Darius Smith actually got an interception today in like a pass coverage drill and looked mighty fine doing it. You guys can see that report on DawgNation.com from Connor Riley from his observation at practice. Facebook user, a lot of questions. One of my answers for that one, the question is, Facebook user has a question about which freshman will make the biggest impact this year. Still going Brett Thorson because he's the most likely to start, and he doesn't have a entrenched starter in front of him. Malachi Starks is really rising up the board for me, and I also thought prior to his injury, if you had asked me that question a week ago, my answer to that question might have led off with Andrew Paul because he was looking very, very good. It was also probably the best news of the day for Georgia folks to think about is, according to Connor Riley's report today on DawgNation.com, Kendall Milton was working as a full go with full participation in practice. John Foster. It's funny though, because that's what it says. It says it calls it Facebook user on my restream feed. Doghouse Lawn Care. It's pretty funny actually. The reports on kicking started out kind of indifferent, where Jared Zirkle and J Pod were making only about maybe 50% of their kicks in the first scrimmage. That has since gotten better. Leon White, Big Bear's just fine. Big Bear's easing his way back into the rotation and getting his way. I mean, the thing about Big Bear, guys, you got to remember this. He's about 6'2.5". He was about 330 last year and during his senior year of high school. Played with a major shoulder injury. He got his labrum and everything repaired once he got to Georgia. But he's also really changed his body. He's changed his body. He's probably 310, 15 right now. He's really changed his body in a good way. And for everybody that thought, just because he wears number 99, that he was going to be the Jordan Davis replacement, never was the case. He's just not big enough. The true Jordan Davis replacements or the body style prototype fit, those guys will come in the 2023 class, and also maybe more so, a guy like Sean Washington, perhaps. Woody Taylor, hey man, how are you? Dog fan, Life B. Sorry to hear about your current geolocation right now. Foster Moss, like that emoji graphics you got going on right now. Pretty decent take there from Marshall Fleming about not being able to stop the run. Steve Bryant makes the proclamation that Jabril Williams will be the Dogs linebacker in 2024. Good for you. Speak it into existence, my friend. Brian Marcoulier, thank you for man. I'm going to have to send you some. I'm going to have to send you some Dog Nation swag or something like that. That's very nice of you to say. Let's see. Lots of questions. I think I've got more than 10, but trying to make sure I've got everybody. Sonia Prescott, there is a commitment watch for Georgia for this week. Actually, Georgia has a real chance there for Anthony Evans III. I really think it's going to come down to Georgia, Oklahoma, but you never know with Texas A&M. I feel, Randy Hall, that Tate Ratledge will start against Oregon. I think somebody made the point. Moose Thames, how are you, man? Somebody made the point that somebody made the point that you're starting to see starters and contributors. Because let's face it, guys, Kirby Smart is not going to roll out guys that are not thriving and making a bunch of plays and flashing in fall camp before the media at this point in time. Eric Jackson, I saw your question. I want to come back to it. Who was the one recruit out there Georgia can't do without that's still on the board? We've got a new number one for our top targets list. If that says anything to you, we have a new number one. You guys have any idea who the new number one might be on the top targets list this week? For the longest time, it has been Jordan Big Baby Hall, but there is a new number one on the top targets list this week. Actually, I shuffled that up quite a lot since our last top targets about 2 weeks ago. Speaking of top targets, that in the business would be called a perfect segue. Let's take a look at the top targets list right now for the week of August 24th, 2022. We're getting so close to Oregon and the Duck Hunt in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Right off the bat, some names move up, some names move down. Look at number 10. That's the 10 and 9. That's the package. I wouldn't say the package. I would probably just say those are the two guys that are going to play together. James Smith and Quay Rousseau out of Carver High School in Montgomery, Alabama. Alabama's huge for those two as well. Florida's getting in the mix for those two as well. And I think Georgia's squarely in the mix there as well. Number 8, Chris Peel out of Providence Day. I don't know if you guys saw him. Little bit of juice on Chris Peel is he is a cornerback recruit, straight cornerback, legit 4.3 speed, hand-timed 4.3 speed in the 40. Plays running back all the time for his team at Providence Day, and he scored 4 touchdowns in the season opener. And also for Providence Day, Jaden Davis, the 2024 quarterback, looked mighty good as well, working in that Chargers offense. Number 7, that's the guy that makes his decision on Friday at a pep rally before school. Anthony Evans really wanted to get this out of the way before his senior season begins out in Texas. Was really disappointed and had a bad taste in his mouth from his junior year. He feels he's one of the best players in Texas, one of the best players in the San Antonio greater region. And his coach got fired last year in the middle of the season. They didn't win a lot of games. He's never won a playoff game in high school, and that's why he wants to change all that in 2022. Number 6 is Hakeem Williams, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He's now up to the nation's number 2 wide receiver, a 5-star. Samuel Mpemba out of IMG Academy is now number 5. Damon Wilson out of Venice, Florida. He played against IMG Academy recently, and his Venice team, which is a defending state champion in 8A Florida, kind of got taken to the woodshed by IMG Academy earlier this month. If you're noticing, you're keeping score. Hakeem's dropping a little bit. Samuel Mpemba is moving up. Damon Wilson is moving up. Monroe Freeling, I think, is a guy the Dogs have to get in the 2023 class at offensive tackle. He is moving up. Number 2 is Jordan Big Baby Hall. And to answer Eric Jackson's question from a while ago, the one guy that I think, considering how hard it will be to eventually sign Hakeem Williams with everybody in their country, basically talking NIL, talking collectives, trying to get him into their program, Tyler Williams, the wide receiver out of Lakeland High School in Lakeland, Florida, becomes so much more important for Georgia in this class because I think Georgia needs a knock your socks off, explosive stick of dynamite, exclamation point receiver in this class. That's why Tyler Williams is so very important for Georgia going forward. He's set to make his decision on September the 27th. Hakeem Williams makes his decision on September the 23rd. Anthony Evans III makes his decision this Friday on August the 26th. And if you're just joining us right now, that's a huge reason why this month the Anthony Evans decision on Friday sets up a crucial stretch of wide receiver recruiting for Georgia in the 2023 cycle. Those are your top targets. Got a few names to take a look at right now. Cody Taylor makes a question about Keon Keeley, the 5-star defensive lineman that decommitted from Notre Dame. Interesting kind of cause and effect here. What's going to happen there is Keon Keeley is likely the the two schools that really turned Keon Keeley's head, who's also a 5-star defensive end edge as well. The two schools that really turned his head was Ohio State and Bama. Consequently, Georgia's maybe main competition for Damon Wilson would be Ohio State and Alabama as well. So if Keon Keeley does eventually matriculate to Alabama and their top-rated number one recruiting class, man, they're getting some dudes this year, Alabama. Keon Keeley to Bama would make things easier for Georgia to bring in a guy like Damon Wilson out of Venice in Florida. Gary Haynes, not on that list yet. There's not a top target on this list, but we are watching a couple of running backs. Let's take a look at that in the also pay attention. These are the guys that are kind of not back-burnered, but not front-burnered either. These are some also other names to pay attention to. First one on the list is Marcus Deal out of Texas, big-time defensive lineman. A guy that really caught my eye over the last 2 weeks, and especially last week when he – now get this, guys. This doesn't sound like Devontae Wyatt on steroids. I don't know who does. Davian Hobbs is a 6'4", 270-pound defensive lineman out of North Carolina. He's a 4-star. The rankings are surging for Davian Hobbs. But get this. Played receiver, played running back, played Wildcat quarterback for his team. He caught a touchdown pass. He had a big, long run. Oh, and by the way, he plays the defensive line. Davian Hobbs out of North Carolina is a name to really keep your eyes on for the rest of this class. Caden McDonald, that's a guy that comes in and out for Georgia a little bit in terms of a defensive lineman, probably one of the two best defensive linemen in the state this year. Samson Okunalola, 5-star offensive tackle, certainly a name to keep monitoring. He's visited Georgia over the summer. Be very interesting to see if he gives Georgia an official or comes back for an unofficial. Roderick Robinson is second. Now, this is a name out of California, committed to UCLA. Really likes the fact that he's at UCLA. But I'm going to tell you, Roderick Robinson, excuse me, just had a sneeze coming on right there. He's out of San Diego, California, same high school that sent Marcus Allen to the NFL Hall of Fame, sent Terrell Davis to Georgia and then the NFL Hall of Fame. Before Terrell Davis went to Georgia, he was also at Long Beach State as well. But Roderick Robinson is a guy that sounds like he's going to take a lot of visits. He's going to take some visits. He's already only used one on UCLA. He'll also check out Texas A&M, Georgia, and among others on official visits. Name there to watch, Jamarian Wilcox, in-state. He does not have an offer from Georgia. And then maybe one of the more curious guys in this class is Tamarian Parker. Very much a hot and cold, off and on with Georgia type guy. AJ Harris loves him. You guys remember our recent conversation with Tamarian Parker. With AJ Harris, where he basically gushed about Tamarian Parker. AJ Harris had a tweet out over the weekend that he said Tamarian Parker is the best in the country, hands down, doesn't care what the rankings say. Well, Mr. Parker backed it up against a pretty good Hewitt Trustful team on Friday night. He had 5 sacks. I think he's going for 8 tackles for losses this weekend. He wants to break his school record this fall with 25 career sacks. 6'4", 250, looks really good, looks really quick off the edge. That's another name to keep in mind on the UGA recruiting radar. Not quite back onto the top targets list where he was maybe back in like February, March, April. But he's a name I'm certainly going to be monitoring going forward. Eric Jackson has a question. With Georgia not picking up a quarterback this year, how does that position Georgia for a top-ranked and top-quality quarterback in 2024, and who might it be? Really, 2 names does put Georgia in a really good position there. The 2 names there are mentioned him early in the program. Jaden Davis out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I think he's the nation's number 3 or 4 quarterback. He's a 5-star in 2024 out of Charlotte. Also got to bring up the nation's number 2 quarterback in 2024 out of basically sort of near the San Diego area, Carlsbad area of California. That's Julian Sayin, nation's number 2 quarterback. Great mechanics, great accuracy. Sayin is also a very big name to know for Georgia at quarterback in the 2024 recruiting class, and he might make his decision maybe in the next month and a half or so, 2 months or so. I do know this: Jaden Davis will not make his decision during his junior season. He's wanting to wait a little bit longer. Georgia, Michigan, Clemson, those are a lot of the schools there that are in it for that are in it for Jaden Davis out of Charlotte. Julian Sayin, he used to like Texas, but then arch committed. He got some local schools as well around there, but Georgia appears to be one of his top teams for sure. There you go. Meanwhile, since the last time we spoke, let's play a quick catch up because there's been a lot of action since the last time we spoke. Let's take a look at this. While we were away, I guess we do a old school cartoon, old school like SpongeBob cartoon. But take a look at this graphic we created. A lot of action since our last show 2 weeks ago on Before the Hedges. Recent recruiting transaction. I like the way our producer Michael Carvel dialed that up right there. 4-star defensive lineman Kelby Collins committed to Florida. 3-star cornerback Ricky Gibson III committed to Tennessee. 4-star defensive lineman Cameron James committed to Florida. 4-star defensive tackle Xavier McLeod committed to South Carolina. And 4-star wide receiver Aiden Williams committed to Ole Miss. Williams is out of Mississippi. McLeod's out of South Carolina. James is out of Florida. Gibson is out of Alabama. And also Kelby Collins is also out of Alabama. So one thing to keep in mind there, a little perspective, I don't think any of those guys were on our most recent top targets list. Maybe McLeod was, but I don't think any of them were really the periphery, got to get major key target for Georgia to watch in the 2023 class. So there you have it, guys. That's a quick lap around all things Georgia recruiting. Let's take a look at one more thing, 2 more graphics we put together for you guys every week. Those are the kind of, I call it the glance snapshot of where Georgia recruiting stands right now at this very second on Before the Hedges, brought to you by DawgNation. Georgia has 18 commits. It's the number 5 class nationally. They're down 1 spot from our last show. 7 on offense, 10 are on defense, 1's on special teams. So good note about the kicker that Georgia has committed in this class. Peyton Woodring is now the nation's number 1 kicker. 6 dogs are coming homegrown out of in-state. 12 are coming out of state. 2 5-star commitments right now. 2 top 50 commitments right now. 6 top 100 commits and 9 top 150 commits. There are 13 commits in the SEC footprint. There are 5 beyond the SEC footprint. And currently, among Georgia's 5 highest ranked recruits in the class right now, 4 of those are on the defensive side of the ball. Samuel Burton, good debut there for Juju Lewis at Carrollton, 2026 quarterback, number 1 quarterback in the country. I think we'll learn a lot about Juju, and we'll learn a whole lot about Carrollton High School when they go take on Rome in a couple of weeks. So there you have it, guys. That's been. Let me make sure you this is obviously a DawgNation Wednesday Night Live production. Before the Hedges. I'm Jeff Sintel. Our show, if you can see in that corner right there, is brought to you by Kroger. Kroger, guys, they've been an institution with us as well on Wednesday nights with all things DawgNation. Before the Hedges also becomes a podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Over the next couple of days. You can find it on Apple. You can find it on SoundCloud. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it right now. We're streaming on Facebook, streaming on YouTube Live. We're streaming on the DawgNation homepage. Guys, it's the end of summer. Time to gear up for grilling. Turn up the heat and the flavor with new favorites for every dish over the summer. Kroger has you covered for all your outside entertaining needs. Visit your local Kroger today or go to Kroger.com/summer-grilling. Guys, that is the weekly Kroger spot. Maybe we'll resurrect the Jeff Kroger commercial with Chef John. Also, some things to talk about, guys. September the 1st, that is next Wednesday. I believe that's next Wednesday. It might be next Thursday. Somebody help me with my days. DawgNation is at Marlowe's in Dunwoody. I think you've heard that promoted on DawgNation Daily a lot. Come out, hang out with us, break bread with us. We'll be talking about all things Georgia football recruiting. We will have a very special guest joining us in as well. I don't know if we're allowed to say who yet, but if we were allowed to say who, that would be Brandon's call to say who's going to be coming on our special guest at Marlowe's to kick off the season. Also, guys, looking forward to seeing everybody at the DawgNation tailgate in the Home Depot backyard prior to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Got some pretty cool news. that the area where Georgia's where Dog Nation's tailgate is at, both teams will be walking through the Depot backyard tailgating area on the way to the stadium. So that'd be a pretty cool thrill. You guys will get to tailgate by the bins, and you'll get to see both teams walk by as everybody has a tasty beverage or a delicious piece of charred animal flesh at their tailgate as well. Who's going? Who's excited? Anybody got any early prognostications for the Georgia-Oregon matchup? Randy Hall, Gary McConnell, Mike Brown, thank you guys so very much for helping me out with my Rolodex and my calendar. I did not think we were going to have a Dog Nation special event on a Wednesday night, and then we're going to have me choose between Hedges, or we would have to figure out a way not to stream Hedges while we're streaming live from Marlowe's. So guys like that know exactly what's going on. You guys want to know anything more about the Dog Nation special event next Thursday night, Dog Nation season kickoff special event next Thursday night at Marlowe's. You can find all that stuff on the Dog Nation homepage. Let me see. David Allen Holsey, Victor Burley has committed to Clemson. He is a bona fide big-time commitment in the all-in class for Clemson. Early congratulations to Steve Bryant celebrating his 40th wedding anniversary. Steve, what's the modern gift now you get your bride for a 40th anniversary? I've got my 20th anniversary coming up with my lovely wife, Erin. So got to figure out the best way to do that too. I know there's the old traditional things like paper and tin and platinum and ivory and all that other stuff. I wonder what the modern interpretation is that now. And hey, feels like we got some duck hunting going on because we've got Samuel Burson with a 18-point Dogs win prediction. Darius Brown goes 28 points. Gary McConnell's ready to go duck hunting as well. Bryce Dixon, I hope your luck turns out really well, buddy. I hope you win some tickets as well. Let me see. The Biscuit, how are you doing, sir? Jerry Dogs fan has a question. Is NIL hurting UGA recruiting? I saw where the team started its own NIL that fans can give money to. That's correct. But really, Georgia's strategy is not NIL as a recruiting inducement. Georgia's strategy is NIL as a way to reward the deserving players on the team and not so much help with recruiting. I think that's the very best way to go about it, covering recruiting the way I do, because you don't want the reason a young man comes to your school to be all about money, because Georgia's physical program, Georgia practices hard. Georgia's players are very comfortable being uncomfortable. And there's a lot of things that make up how you earn the right to be a Georgia Bulldog on Saturday night. And I think a lot of that still needs to be there organically. You got to love football. That's one of the things that you hear all the time that Georgia seeks out with its recruits. They just don't want the best players. They want players that love getting on the grass, hitting somebody, blocking and tackling, and playing football. They just purely love it. And that's probably the best recipe for success that they get with a lot of the players on their team. So anyway, Jerry Dogs fan, good question there. Let me see. Any more questions? I tried to be very highly interactive today. Randy Hall's got a good point. The new updated anniversary gift would be a Royal Caribbean cruise, not just a Carnival cruise. Mike. Anyway, guys, hope we had a good time. Hope we had a good little chat on the back porch. Keeps getting darker. That means we're getting closer and closer to fall. I'm Jeff Sintel. Can't wait to talk to you again on another Wednesday night. I hope you guys have had fun. I hope you guys have had your questions answered. Big decision coming from Anthony Evans, the third in San Antonio on Friday afternoon. Will it be Georgia? Will it be Oklahoma? Will it be Texas A&M? Will it be afterburners to Georgia's big recruiting stretch coming up? Like right there, pull up that graphic right there. Looming decisions for Georgia. Anthony Evans on August the 26th, Hakeem Williams on September the 23rd, and then Tyler Williams, the new number one target on the Dog Nation top targets list, is coming down that track, hopefully coming down that track for the Georgia's offense as far as that's concerned. Tyler Williams out of Lakeland High School in Lakeland, Florida. Those are your decisions. Guys, my name is Jeff Sintel. It's been my pleasure to talk Georgia football recruiting with you guys on another Wednesday night live here on Dog Nation's Before the Hedges. Hope you guys have a great week. Hope you guys can stand it. You got only like maybe 10 more days now until Georgia takes on Oregon. I've got football games to catch up on Friday night. I hope you guys have great weekend plans. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We will see you again later on the pages of DawgNation.com. I'm Jeff Sintel. That has been your intel. God bless you. Everybody stay safe. Hug the ones you love. Tell the ones you love them. And you guys have yourself a mighty fine rest of your Wednesday night. I'm Jeff Sintel. Take it easy. We'll see you later on DawgNation.com.